We begin with Ukraine. I am just back from that war-torn country, my third visit since the conflict began. And while I have tracked what's happening over these many months, to once again see it up close is sobering. Russia using rockets to terrorize the population and target the country's power grid and infrastructure to undermine civilian support for the war, while leaving millions without heat and electricity as the winter sets in. Ukraine's defenders are pushing forward, trying to advance against Russian forces as they also work to rebuild and rehabilitate communities freed from Russian control. It has been 9 months of fear, destruction, and unimaginable loss. Indiscriminate Russian strikes this week, pummeling residential areas, a maternity hospital, and power grids. Blackouts again paralyzing cities and towns across Ukraine as winter takes a brutal hold. And the fight is far from over. These Ukrainian forces are constantly training. Many of these soldiers have already been to the front lines, but many are going back. They are citizens transformed. Volunteers like Alexander, who runs a travel business, has seen relentless fighting in the east. 38-hour battle?
Yeah, and only 2 hours we have time for drink, for toilet, and for sleeping. Very hard.
Intense?
Yes.
And you would go back in a minute?
Yes, of course.
And Petro, who has a small business, unbowed even after estimates of as many as 100,000 Ukrainian soldiers killed on the battlefield. You will win?
We will win.
You will win, no matter what?
No matter what. In Ukraine we say "воля або смерть." It's translated like freedom or death.
Freedom or death. And helping to train many of the Ukrainian soldiers, a team led by British-born, retired U.S. Marine Andrew Milburn, who has seen the fighting perilously close. Colonel Milburn had multiple combat deployments and fought in the Battle of Fallujah in Iraq.
And Fallujah was my worst experience of multiple tours, Iraq and Afghanistan. Here, though, it's a different sort of fear. You're out in the open, but once artillery starts coming down on you, it's a sense of absolute helplessness, unless you are near some kind of cover.
And Milburn's team, the Mozart Group, does not carry weapons or join in the fighting. They train and they help evacuate citizens.
You know, we were pulling kids out of Lysychansk, Novohelansk as the Russians were closing in on the town. We don't have armored vehicles. The risk levels are off the charts for anyone who's served in the Western military. And yet we continue to do it because there's a need. And as winter approaches, that need is only going to get greater. You have to see these towns to believe them.
Buildings destroyed and lives as well. The top U.S. military official estimated 40,000 Ukrainian civilians have been killed. This is Bucha, about 20 miles outside of Kyiv. Behind me was once a mass grave containing the bodies of hundreds of Ukrainian civilians slaughtered by Russian troops. For those who remain in this town, the survivors, the pain is still vivid. Life has resumed now that the Russians have been pushed out, but in the town center, teams of psychologists help children deal with loss and trauma through play. The children choose toys according to what worries them, she says. So you've got fighter jets, you've got military vehicles. She says those are the toys most used by the kids. They even speak about the possibility of nuclear war. One of the caseworkers wanted to show us exactly how this works for a child. There is a moment of silence at first. But then the psychologist's own memories quickly bring her to tears. That was very emotional for you, and you do this all the time. What were you thinking? She says she wanted to place 2 angels to symbolize the victims, but then said she simply couldn't because she was there during the massacre. She helped people look for their missing loved ones, and the memories were all too hard. And it is, of course, not just the people of Bucha who have suffered. No starker example than this one. These 5 siblings now orphaned after a mortar took the life of their 37-year-old single mother. 18-year-old Slava, who watched his mother die beside him, the only one left to care for his young siblings. He does it while continuing his studies and working full-time. Just believe in yourself, he told me, and this is how you can succeed. And your mother taught you that? You see that same determination everywhere you go in Ukraine. And yet Andrew Milburn worries that this war will grind on for months, for years to come. Right now, when you look at what the Ukrainian military strategy is, what is it?
It's a really good question. And I'm not sure that anyone can give a clear picture of that. In order to conduct a really game-changing, I keep using that term, offensive, you need sufficient resources as far as manpower and weapon systems.
When you look at where the Ukrainians are and the enormous amount of aid they've gotten, do you believe if they don't get more aid that it is conceivable they can win?
It is conceivable. Look, the West has been extraordinarily helpful in providing high-end platforms, but the Russians have adapted. This is not a criticism, U.S. foreign policy, maybe it is. It's just a sense that this is going to be a long, bloody war. Ukrainian victory is, in my mind, ultimately most likely. Unless the West really embraces the prospect of Ukrainian victory, and barring a black swan event, this is going to be a long, bloody slog.
A long, bloody conflict.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.